Okay, if you've ever worked in a big company, you have definitely heard the acronym SAP. And let's be honest, it usually sounds like this incredibly complex, maybe even a little scary, maze of technical terms. But what if I told you that behind all that jargon is the engine that literally powers a huge chunk of the global economy? Well, in this explainer, we're going to give you a map. We're going to break it all down so you can see exactly how all the key pieces of SAP fit together. So let's jump right in.
So, just think about this for a second. What kind of system would it take to run one of the world's biggest companies? I mean, everything. Finance in New York, the supply chain in Singapore, human resources over in Germany, all at the same time. You need something unbelievably powerful and totally integrated, right? Almost like a digital central nervous system for the entire business.
And that's exactly the kind of system we're going to explore. So here's how we're going to do it. First, we'll look at the huge problem these systems were built to solve in the first place. Then, we'll get into SAP's core and its engine. After that, we'll add the cloud platform layer, see how that unlocks all the business data, and finally, we'll peek into the future. By the end of this, you're going to have a really clear mental model for how this whole world works.
All right, let's kick things off with part one, the problem of complexity. We need to understand why having a single, unified system isn't just a nice-to-have, but an absolute must.
The solution to this giant coordination headache has a name: Enterprise Resource Planning, or ERP. You can think of it as the ultimate organizational tool. See, instead of having one piece of software for finance, a totally different one for sales, and another for manufacturing, an ERP system brings them all together. This creates what people call a single source of truth for the company's data. You're going to want to remember that phrase. It's the key idea for everything else we're about to cover.
So that brings us to our second section, SAP's core and engine. Now that we get the idea behind ERP, let's look at the company that basically defines the category and the crazy powerful tech that makes it all run.
So, what even is SAP? Well, the name stands for Systems, Applications, and Products, and they are, by far, the world's biggest provider of these ERP systems. So when you hear a company say they run on SAP, this is what they're talking about. Their most important mission-critical operations are all managed by this one massive, integrated suite of applications.
Now, every ERP system needs a beast of an engine. And for modern SAP, that engine is called HANA. The big deal with HANA is this concept of an in-memory database. Instead of slowly pulling data off a traditional hard drive, HANA keeps all the important active data right there in the computer's super-fast main memory. So what does that actually mean? It means businesses can get answers and make decisions in real time. They're working with data from what's happening right now, not what happened yesterday. It's a total game changer.
So how do these two pieces fit together? It's actually pretty simple. Think of a high-performance car. HANA is the ridiculously powerful engine, providing all that speed and raw processing power. And S/4HANA is the sleek, intelligent car that's built around that engine. It's the actual ERP application that people use every day. You really can't have one without the other. This combination, the engine and the car, is the foundation of the entire modern SAP world.
Okay, let's move on to section 3 and see how this all builds up. Having a core ERP is fantastic, but modern businesses need to innovate, right? They need to build new apps, connect to other systems, and that is where the cloud platform layer comes into play.
On this layer, you've got two main platforms, BTP and BDC, and this slide does a great job of comparing them. Think of the Business Technology Platform, or BTP, as this huge digital workshop. It is filled with every tool you could imagine. Tools for building apps, for AI, for automation. It gives you the flexibility to build literally anything you need. On the other hand, the Business Data Cloud, or BDC, is more like a specialized, prepackaged toolkit. It's a managed suite that's laser-focused on one thing: data and analytics. So you're choosing between the incredible flexibility of BTP and the focused simplicity of BDC.
And that focus on data is the perfect transition to our fourth section, unlocking business data. So now we're going to look at the specific applications that live on these platforms, the ones you use to turn all that raw business data into something actually valuable.
Inside this data world, there are really three key tools that you need to know about. They all work together to help businesses manage, analyze, and visualize their information.
First up, we have SAP DataSphere. This is the foundation. Think of it as the central library for every single piece of data a company has.
It doesn't just store the data, it goes out and pulls information from all these different sources, it catalogs everything, and it organizes it all logically. Basically, Datasphere gets all the data ready for analysis, giving you one unified view of your entire data landscape.
So once your data is all nice and tidy in Datasphere, you need a way to figure out what it's trying to tell you. Well, that's the job of SAP Analytics Cloud. This is the tool that lets you actually see the data through dashboards, charts, and reports. It uses business intelligence and even predictive analytics to turn these mountains of raw numbers into clear insights that, help you make much better decisions.
And finally, we have SAP BW/4HANA. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, another data warehouse? What's the deal? And it's a fair question. The key here is its history and how it's optimized. BW/4HANA is the next evolution of SAP's classic business warehouse, but it's been completely rebuilt to take advantage of the insane speed of the HANA platform. So, while Datasphere is the newer cloud-first solution for a broad data fabric, BW/4HANA is still a super powerful, high-performance option, especially for companies that have a lot invested in those traditional SAP data models. So, where is all this technology headed? Well, that brings us to our final section, the future, smart, and simple. We're going to look at two big initiatives that really show SAP's game plan, making the whole system way smarter and making it much easier for customers to get on board. First up is Joule. This is SAP's answer to the generative AI revolution, and it's a big one. It's an AI copilot that's going to be woven into the fabric of the entire SAP ecosystem. The whole point is to change how you interact with the software. So instead of clicking through a bunch of menus, you could just ask Joule in plain English, "Hey, show me the sales numbers for Q3 in Europe," or "Go ahead and draft a purchase order for our top supplier." It's all about making these incredibly powerful systems feel simple and intuitive.
The second big initiative is RISE with SAP. And this is a really, really important distinction to make. RISE is not a new piece of software. You can't just go out and buy RISE. It's a program. Think of it as a bundled package designed to make the journey to the cloud way simpler and more predictable for all those thousands of companies still running older SAP systems in their own data centers.
So what do you actually get in this RISE package? Well, like you can see here, it's a bundle. You get the core S/4HANA cloud software, of course. But, and this is huge, it also includes the hosting and management services from SAP. That takes a massive weight off a company's own IT department. It also gives you a roadmap to guide the migration itself, and it flips the payment model from a giant upfront license fee to a much more manageable subscription. So, in a nutshell, it's an all-in-one package to make moving to the cloud as painless as possible.
And this brings us right back to where we started. We called SAP the digital nervous system of a business, this system that processes information and coordinates action across the whole company. But now, with powerful AI like Joule entering the picture, we have to ask a much bigger question. What happens when that nervous system starts to actually think? When it can not only process data, but learn, predict, and maybe even act on its own? It's a pretty fascinating glimpse into the future of business itself. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer.